Hi there, my name is Candle Hearts. I am a digital artist and a small business owner and local pink gremlin. The original script I had written for this video is literally 16 pages long, and I have taken it multiple times. I have voiced it multiple times, I've put it through the ringer, and each time it ended up being like 2 hours long, and nobody has time for that, so I'm just going to try to ad-lib it and combine it all into one. A little background information about me. I have a bachelor's in psychology. I'm not an expert on statistics, so please take anything I say with a grain of salt. I've been on the internet for a very long time. I believe I started actively being on the internet and interacting with things in 2008. And the only reason I remember that date in particular is because I'm pretty sure I had a Neopets account with the username. I don't even remember the username, but I know that it ended in 08 because that's the year I made the account. So I was on Neopets, I was on MySpace. I'm a pro, I'm an expert. I'm here. I'm observing things. I did a survey. It had 35 respondents, 16 questions. I do have a full script that I'm going to upload if you want to read all of my information and all my ramblings. It's probably a really long read. I apologize. But if you want to get all of the information and all of the juicy bits without having to listen to me for 3 hours, feel free. Description below. Anyway, I'm going to try not to read from my script because I'm rambling. I'm just scrolling through this thing. It is ridiculous. Anyway, my survey had 35 respondents. You could put yourself into a browser, a content creator, or a casual creator category. I will read this one thing. I'm defining content creator as someone who creates art, media, entertainment, products, etc., and uses social media to advertise or host their work. These are your YouTubers, bloggers, digital artists, point makers. I say point makers? Print makers, Etsy sellers, etc. This is just used as a catch-all phrase and doesn't have any connotations or meaning other than to say you create things on the internet for monetary compensation. Next is the casual creator. These people just create for fun in a very casual sense. Examples are meme makers, text posters, casual artists, fanfic writers, etc., using the platform to host your work, but you're not considering monetary compensation and you're not looking to use the platform to get any more work. So you're not looking for commissions or anything like that. Finally is the browser. You don't post much, if any, content on the platform, but you enjoy looking at others' content. These phrases may mean something else to you, but I'm just defining these terms for simplicity's sake so we have a concise flow of information. For example, if I were to choose the category that I would put myself in, I would place myself in the content creator category. So in the description, I go through all of the questions in depth. I think I'm going to kind of cut it short here and just explain the gist of the replies. So out of my 35 respondents, over 50% are in their 20s, 37 being in their 30s, and 2 chunks of 5.7 each, respectively, being in their 40s or teens. Most respondents, 42.9%, identified as being a casual creator, with 40% of the respondents identifying as content creators. Browsers made up the remainder of 17.1%. So in this survey, we'll primarily be hearing from people who create something and post it to social media to host or, advertise or just for fun. I wanted to briefly go over this shift that I think that everyone has noticed from the late 2010s and early 2020s, where we've seen this kind of shift from casual creation to monetizing your content. The big influencer shift as we know it now. I also have a slight theory that I wanted to discuss. It's kind of been going through my mind for a while, but my theory is that the most successful and popular social media platforms cater to both browsers and content creators. So it caters to, the majority, which would make sense logically, right? Currently, the most successful social media platforms that have the most users are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Why is that? They do, in fact, cater to the majority. They allow other people to connect easily, to share interests, and a majority of these interests are pretty broad and not very specific. However, on these same platforms, you can kind of partition off into little circles or rooms to connect with people who are maybe into the same fandom you are, into the same show, or into the same type of content, whether it be creating it or just observing it or taking it in. These partitions could be hashtags or tags, groups, group chats, different trends, different types of content, different fandoms. They all separate the bigger social media experience into little rooms where you can coexist with each other and connect. And like the reason all of this works, like the reason these social medias work, is that you have an audience as a creator. And if you're an audience person, if you're just a browser, you have creators to like find stuff that you, like the creators make things that you like. So these popular social medias are self-sustaining, they're easy to use, and they connect people to each other. Now, the next part is going to sound like I'm throwing shade. I'm not. I promise. I promise I'm not. But why do certain platforms fail or they don't get as popular as the main couple of platforms that we just discussed? They don't cater to the majority. They don't cater to browsers and content creators. For the most part, these other social medias are art-based, so they're similar to DeviantArt. They're like the ink blots and pillow forts, and there's more, but I can't remember them all at the moment. And I know cater is kind of a yucky word, but I'm not meaning it in the pandering way. I'm meaning it in like the literal way. Basically, these smaller platforms don't usually have, they don't host an audience to your content, right? So if you're an artist, it makes sense for you to make a DeviantArt account because you can have a gallery there. You can post your work and, you know, other people can favorite it and such. But if you're on Pillow Fort, up until now you had to pay $5 fee to log on. And most people don't like that. Most people like social media that is free. And there's also no real incentive for maybe a non-artist or non-creator to make accounts on these websites because there's not really, see, we define browsers as people who like to maybe tweet into the void or make a meme, like maybe not low effort, but like lower effort content that's not, you spent hours and hours on this painting, please look at it and give me feedback. They like to just kind of be casual and browse and, you know, connect with other people and have fun. So these people don't really have an incentive to create accounts or exist on these other smaller websites because their friends aren't there. Their favorite creators might not be there because they might not know about it. So that's why those smaller social media platforms don't do as well, because they don't have as many people. They don't cater to the majority of internet users, which are both browsers, casual content creators, and content creators TM. So now I'm going to get into some of the numbers. I'm sure you're all so excited for that. Basically, I'll just go through each question briefly and give you the top 3 or 4 answers to each question. Everyone was asked, what kind of content do you consume? Meaning, what do you look for on social media? The majority of my respondents were looking for art, videos, animations, or short-form content. From this, we can infer a few things, namely that, once again, I am a digital artist and I'm the one who was providing the survey, so most people who follow me are probably looking for art, which would make sense that that 97.1% of people are looking for art. Next, everyone was asked what social media platforms they use regularly. Regular usage was defined as once weekly. The top websites chosen were Twitter, YouTube, and a tie between Instagram and Twitch. And as you can see on the graphic that I'm posting, hopefully I remember, there was an other please specify area where the respondents could add additional social medias, and those made up about 2.9% of their replies. Those are like DeviantArt, I think some people put Discord, Reddit, etc. So the next part of the survey focuses on what people like and dislike about their social medias, which is where we get into the meat of stuff, the meat of things. For everyone, what aspect of your chosen favorite social media do you like? This is a multiple choice question, and most people answered that they liked that it was free. 100% of people liked that it was free. Their favorite creators were on the platform, and the content they liked is hosted on the platform. The next question was also for everyone, but asked from a non-content creation perspective. So from a browser's perspective, what do you dislike about the platform? I'm going to be honest, due to the time frame that I was giving this quiz or giving the survey, I get a lot of I don't like Elon Musk answers, which is fair. I expected that wholly. I wholly expected that. That is honestly the reason why I'm making this video. We'll get into that later. But basically, they did not like the current owner and CEO of Twitter. They did not like the toxicity and hateful comments on people's work. They didn't like any drama on the platform. And the most common answer was that they disliked the algorithm. A few respondents clarified that they didn't like how the algorithm tried to show them things. It tried to kind of guess what they would like. And they were stating that the content that they were shown, that they were pushed, was random. And they were like, hey, I didn't follow this person. Why should I care? This isn't what I'm looking for. The next question asked was for everyone. And what are some of the social media platforms that you don't like or you avoid at all costs? The majority answered Facebook, and Instagram and TikTok tied, and Tumblr was at 28.6%. I honestly don't blame them. Facebook is kind of a weird egg. Facebook is, I mean, the responses speak for themselves. Most people said that they believed that Facebook and Instagram were spammy and there were a lot of bots. It was full of misinformation. A lot of people mentioned Facebook specifically, saying they didn't like how it was like tied to their IRL or their like quotation mark real personalities, and they created more of like a brand or persona on the internet, and they didn't want those two things to mesh, so they just stopped using Facebook altogether. You can also add other sites. I had another option on this one. And people mentioned how they used to use DeviantArt or Tumblr, but had since moved away from those websites due to various reasons. Next, we're going to kind of mention the Twitter thing. I'm going to go into this more in depth later. But basically, on the 4th, when I started giving this survey, it ran until the 13th. People were learning about the possible monthly fee to use Twitter in any sort of capacity. So there was a question that just simply asked if you would pay a monthly fee to use your favorite social media platform. I asked this not in regards to Twitter. I just used basic language, such as, would you use your social media platform for a fee monthly? And a resounding 82.9% of people said no, with a couple people saying depends, and a few replying that they would or do pay for a Discord Nitro for their benefits specifically. I don't really think I need to infer anything here. I think people like things that are free. People like things that are easy to use, free, and maybe, start free and end free. I'm just kind of saying, maybe if you are going to offer like a paid version of your website, maybe you should make it have actual benefits. Anyway, this is besides the point. I'm getting ahead of myself. The next question I think holds the most meat of my survey. I asked respondents to picture their ideal social media platform and what features does that include. This was an optional question because I'm sure that most people, I don't want to take up everyone's valuable time, and not everyone wants to write a paragraph on a random survey from a pink goblin. I did love hearing everyone's responses. I read all of them and tried to condense them down. A lot of people said that they liked aspects of Twitter and Tumblr, but disliked the crummy algorithm. If you take anything out of those answers, that is the most common one, is that they like Twitter and Tumblr, but the algorithm specifically on Twitter is not good, and they would like that to be fixed or tweaked or removed. A lot of other people responded that they would like a tagging system a la Tumblr, or a sorting system like Archive on Our Own, which is a fanfic hosting website. A lot of people wanted a gallery such as DeviantArt and an option to go live. A lot of people were kind of poo-pooing on Instagram, validly so, for only boosting reels and videos and not boosting images. A lot of people mentioned that they would like the same boosting for reels and videos as they were for images. A lot of the posts also just were straight up saying, just get rid of the algorithm, go away. And one commenter actually responded that they would suggest a customizable profile a la MySpace age, and I 100% am behind that. Please bring that back. I just want to make people listen to Evanescence. The next area of my survey was for content creators specifically. If you were a browser and responded to the survey, it stated specifically that if you did not create content whatsoever, you can simply opt out of all of these questions and complete the survey. The first question was, if you are a creator, what kind of content do you create? Obviously, due to reasons I mentioned before, I'm an artist, so 60% of people responded that they created art. That was followed by written work, aka fan fiction and indie publishing, and short form content such as TikToks and YouTube Shorts followed that. I would also like to mention that live streaming came super close at a 20% even, so a lot of people were live streaming on YouTube or Twitch. I also think you can live stream on TikTok. I actually don't know that much about TikTok. Now everyone knows that I'm a boomer. Now the next question, posed to creators only, was what social media platforms do you use to post or host your work? Basically, Twitter was number one again, which makes sense because all of my followers are primarily on Twitter, with Instagram being second and TikTok being third. I also included an other section so everyone could answer with other websites that I didn't list. So other platforms answered or included were Reddit, Newgrounds, AO3, and Discord. The next questions mirror the previous questions, but asked content creators specifically what they like and dislike about their platforms. So these were all multiple choice, excluding some of the dislike questions so everyone could air their grievances. Most respondents liked that their chosen platform was free. Next, they liked that it contained a large audience to showcase their work to. And finally, they enjoyed the networking opportunities and the positive community. So what did content creators dislike about their platform? These are long-form collective answers, so I just kind of collected them myself and summarized them, but these were all really good answers. So from a content creator perspective, again, the algorithm was their least favorite part. They mentioned how Twitter's suppression of artists, suppression of tags and links were very problematic to their work and their advertising. A lot of replies were pretty specific and highlighted that they disliked the push to short form content, such as 30-second videos, like maxing out at 3-minute videos, and that they felt that their art was here today and gone tomorrow, with their art peaking after like an hour and then no one would ever see it again due to the algorithm constantly cycling through viral post after viral post. Basically, artists are worried about their longevity. Their work is gone and missed in an instant due to the fast-paced environment, and short-form content is being boosted much more than long-form content. I say as I pass the 19-minute mark on my recording. Haha, help. For the final question, I asked my content creators, as if they're mine. Hello, my little content creators. I asked every content creator how many followers they had on their favorite social media platforms. I asked this question because I had a feeling the results would be a mixed bag, and I was right. Most people had around 1,000 to 5,000 followers, 28.6%, with the remainder being all over the ranges I provided. So basically what we can infer from this is everyone is affected by the aforementioned problems, the algorithm, and certain posts being suppressed, regardless of follower count. And that big breath was me getting ready. I have to fill my lungs with air because we're going to be talking about Twitter and Elon Musk. I have had to edit this script several times, so I'm probably going to be jumping around. I would just like to say that I am a Twitter user. I did end up primarily using Twitter to post my art and advertise my small business. I honestly don't know how I got here, but I'm here now, so now I have to deal with it. Contrary to a lot of other commentary I've seen about Twitter, where the commentator usually doesn't use Twitter or actively avoids it or dislikes it, I pretty much use it every day. I'm going to try not to let that color my commentary too much, but some contamination is inevitable. For those who don't know, which is probably no one, everyone knows about Elon Musk, and I'm sure most people know that he has recently became the primary shareholder, CEO, and owner of Twitter. I'm going to read a brief description of Musk from his Wikipedia. This is being done purely out of spite for my middle school and high school teachers saying that I could not use Wikipedia as a source. Ha! Elon Reeve Musk is a business magnate, which is a tycoon, a person who has achieved immense wealth through the ownership of multiple lines of enterprise, and investor. He is the founder, CEO, chief engineer of SpaceX, angel investor, CEO and product architect of Tesla, founder of The Boring Company, co-founder of Neuralink and OpenAI, president of the Musk Foundation, and owner and CEO of Twitter Incorporated. He has an estimated net worth of around $195 billion as of November 4th. Musk is the wealthiest person in the world, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index and Forbes Real-Time Billionaires list. Musk's acquisition of Twitter has caused a rapid shift in how we're viewing the platform and how we're viewing social media. I'm going to touch upon some political happenings I think are important, but if you don't want to hear this because your stamina is running low, just in general, I entirely understand. You can skip ahead to the time zone listed on the video. The current era is always a byproduct of the past. It's the decisions of earlier years that lead to the consequences of later years. In 2016 and 2020, we saw a rapid decline in trust of media and news outlets due to the current president, his cabinet, and constituents pushing the rhetoric that our election process could not be trusted, and anyone arguing against them was seen as promoting fake news. This, along with some other factors, a cough cough, the panini, tipped social media, Twitter and Facebook specifically, to start enacting strict fact-checking protocols on their platforms in an attempt to curb the spread of misinformation and to essentially cease and stop the polarizing of the masses. Polarization is never a good thing. It poisons the waters of compromise and can be detrimental to any sort of progress between political and social disagreements that plague the current era. So with these protocols came platform bans. Former President Trump, among others, were banned from Twitter and other platforms because they were spreading that misinformation, were fear-mongering users for their own personal gain to further their individual beliefs. This led to a stop in this misinformation from those bad actors on the platforms, but also led to an increase of hate speech and unrest in the communities that supported these figures. They felt that their rights and their voices were being taken away and responded emotionally. And we all know what happened on January 6th. Just as an aside, if there are any international viewers watching this, you're probably laughing at us, and honestly, that's pretty valid. All of this is to say, the landscape of Twitter and Facebook super changed super quick, and all of these sweeping changes set in motion in 2016 and 2020 are essentially kind of what led to Elon Musk acquiring Twitter. Obviously, it wasn't just these events. Life is complex and we can never fully explain everything with just one cause, but the result is today's current Twitter. Here's where I had to deviate quite a bit from my script. I'm just going to go ahead and read the description from Wikipedia again on the events of Musk purchasing Twitter. They have a brief timeline of events starting in 2017. That is when Musk expressed interest in buying Twitter. In January 2022, Musk started purchasing Twitter shares, reaching a 5% stake in the company in March. By April, he owned a 9% stake, making him the largest shareholder. He did not file the necessary SEC paperwork within 10 days of his stake passing 5%, a violation of the U.S. security laws. When he did publicly disclose his investment, his investment SEC 13G filing on April 4th. Twitter shares experienced the largest intraday price surge since the company's 2013 IPO. The revelation that Musk had acquired a significant stake in Twitter followed Musk's March tweets in which he questioned Twitter's commitment to freedom of speech and floated creating a rival social media site. Foreshadowing. Although the comments were made after he had acquired 7.5% of Twitter's stake. On April 4th, Musk agreed to a deal that would appoint him to Twitter's board of directors and prohibit him from acquiring more than 14.9% of the company. However, on April 13th, Musk made a $43 billion offer to purchase Twitter, launching a takeover bid to buy 100% of Twitter's stock at $54.20 per share. In response, Twitter's board adopted a shareholder rights plan deemed a poison pill by the media to make it more expensive for any single investor to own more than 15% of the company without the board's approval. A week later, Musk secured funding worth $46.5 billion, which included $12.5 billion in loans against his Tesla stock and $21 billion in equity financing. Later that day, Musk successfully concluded his bid for approximately $44 billion. Tesla's stock market value sank by more than $125 billion the next day in reaction to the deal, causing Musk to lose around $30 billion of his net worth. He subsequently tweeted criticism of Twitter executives, of their policies to his 86 million followers, which led some of them to engage in sexist and racist harassment towards the Twitter executive. Exactly a month after announcing the takeover, Musk stated that the deal was on hold following a report that 5% of Twitter's daily active users were spam accounts, causing Twitter shares to drop more than 10%. Although initially he clarified that he remained committed to the acquisition, he sent notification of his termination of the deal in July. Twitter's board of directors responded that they were committed to holding him to the transaction. On July 12, 2022, Twitter formally sued Musk in the Chancery Court of Delaware for breaching a legally binding agreement to purchase Twitter. In October 2022, Musk reversed again, offering to purchase Twitter for the $54.20 per share. The acquisition was officially completed on October 27th, and Musk immediately fired top Twitter executives, including the CEO, whom he replaced. He quickly instituted an $8 a month subscription for a blue check and laid off a significant portion of the company's staff. Oh, okay, that was a lot. Let's take a breath. So this is where I had to completely go off script again and rewrite everything. So this is kind of why this script is now 16 pages. Basically, that was a lot. I didn't even touch on Musk's attitude and how he's been interacting with other Twitter users. It is just a lot. A lot of users are upset with Musk's acquisition of the platform. He's very polarizing. His politics and ethics are very much plain to see, very much public knowledge, which automatically make him maybe not the best person to be running a social media platform that is used by a mixed bag of people with very different opinions. Basically, he's stirring the pot, and not like in a cool challenge the status quo way, but in like a creating a moderate to high amount of civil unrest way. Now, let's talk about that $8 a month blue check mark thing. Basically, and I'm going to turn off my script for this, Elon believed that most Twitter users who did not have the check mark already were spams and bots, and that kind of makes sense to me, but only in a very small and contrived and insane way. If you look at it from Musk's perspective, if you look at his Twitter posts, especially now, if you read the comments, they are filled with people bullying him, calling him names, spamming memes. They're essentially filled with all of the things that he dislikes and filled with all of the things that he believes that Twitter is just full of. And that's due to how much vitriol he's caused, how polarizing his views are, and he's very blunt, and his statements are very cursed, if I may say. I may say they're very cursed. So it's no wonder that he thinks this way. It's no wonder that he believes that the entire platform is like this, because I genuinely don't believe that he has the capacity to look past his own experience. I genuinely believe he does not look past his own statuses and interactions. But his logic sounds pretty much insane to everyone else. It sounds based in falsity, essentially. Like, we all know that there are actors, there are game developers, there's artists, there's people of import, there's politicians, there's so many people who have a legitimate presence on social media that are not verified, that are not spammers, they're not bots. It sounds insane, and it's also very alarming because Musk was quoted as saying when the $8 checkmark comes through, that other people's posts that did not have the verified check mark that they paid for would be suppressed, and that you would have to, quote, scroll a long way to see something from someone who doesn't have a check mark. Now, that was disturbing to a lot of creators and a lot of people in general, because if you're just a browser, are you ever going to see your favorite artist again? What if they don't sign up for the check mark? Are all of your posts going to be just tech bros that Elon Musk himself endorses, and your personal circle of interests are just going to be squashed in favor of his? And as a creator, you're like freaking out. Like, will everyone see my content? Will anyone see my content ever again? What if I don't have the budget for an $8 a month check mark? And I don't, or maybe I don't want to purchase one. Why should you be incentivized after all? Because this platform used to be free, and the reason the new owner is giving for this check mark that is $8 a month seems ridiculous and incorrect. These are all really valid and reasonable complaints, made even more valid if you plain just don't like the person and stating these new changes. We have dealt as artists and creators and browsers with the internet's bullshit for a long time, and we're just sick of it. It sucks to deal with something like this. You don't want to deal, you want to live, and you want to thrive. Well, what happened basically is the checkmark was actually just a part of Twitter Blue, which already existed on the platform as a paid business type premium thing. I have personally never used it. The checkmark was just added to be a cosmetic item, essentially, to be essentially a paid version of verification. The other benefits, quotation mark, of Twitter Blue are a 10-minute limit on video posting instead of the 45 seconds, I believe it is now. You also get an edit button and an undo button on tweets. And you also get a new tab in the notifications bar where verified people's comments or interactions with you will be highlighted, and vice versa. If you are verified, your comments and interactions will be highlighted. So essentially, you are paying for Senpai to notice you on Twitter. There are reports that there are people who have purchased Twitter Blue and are receiving more interactions on their work, on their art or text posts, on their advertising essentially, and are getting boosted in the algorithm. However, I don't really see that. I'm not sure if that is legitimate or not, or if the novelty of the check marks is maybe not just playing a part in this, because there is a lot of things on Twitter going around where you can click on someone's profile and see that they have a verified mark. And if you click on the mark, it will say if they've purchased the $8 check mark or if they're legitimately verified as an important figure. So we're not quite sure yet if these check marks are actually being boosted by the algorithm or if it's just a placebo effect. But it is really shitty of Elon to scare users like that. I think it just goes to show you that polarizing and controversial figures maybe should not own big social media platforms and play with people's monetary earnings and feelings like that. Also, Twitter has lost a lot of ad revenue because Elon keeps saying things and tweeting things and making the platform kind of a poo-poo thing. They don't want that. So please stop saying things or you're going to go bankrupt. I unfortunately also have to mention the AI art aspect of the situation. It is no secret that Musk is not necessarily the art community's best friend. He helped pioneer OpenAI, which set off a whole series of events. I will not get into this too much because that is another video on its own, and I could go on and on. Basically, how AI works to create art is that it pulls from various tags that people or websites use, such as Victorian woman, anime, or popular on ArtStation, and it takes those tags and stores them all up, and when someone types in a prompt such as big booba anime Victorian woman popular on ArtStation, it will then pull from those tags, it will search for them, pull from them, and then create whatever the hell these things are. Now I have to look for big booba art ladies with the effed up hands. I'm sorry, but if I had to see it, you had to see it too. It steals people's art en masse. These people did not consent to their art being pulled from Google and smashed into some accursed finger abomination. Also, I'll just mention AI art cannot be copyrighted because it was not made by human hands. I mean, it kind of was. The original art that's being stolen by the program was made by people, but the AI art was made by a program. I'm just gonna stop there and just state that Elon is on thin fucking ice in the artist community. He supports AI art, and he also poo-poos artists who question his morals and ethics, and I'm pretty sure he stated in a tweet that he was like super in favor of stealing art and reposting it. If I can find that tweet, I'll post it here as well. So as it stands, unfortunately, as far as Twitter goes and Twitter's future, we are not quite sure where it's heading. Basically, Elon has threatened the employees with supposedly, allegedly, if they are not on board with this supposed new Twitter 2.0, that they will be fired. He has supposedly, allegedly fired many of the team on Twitter that has been involved in the infrastructure, been involved in the security. I'm just going to flash some some screenshots of things that he's done, essentially disabling two-factor authentication because he thought that it was bloatware. He's also been threatening and actually firing people just by tweeting at him and being a little bit rude to him. He has stated that he is going to ban people for parodying him and parodying other people, but then he didn't ban anyone. And also you couldn't buy check marks for a while because so many people were parodying him and he didn't like that and he was very upset. Basically, it's just a big clown show. And if you use Twitter primarily for your work and for advertising, you're probably like, what do I do now? I am so scared. And that is very valid. This website it's still free for now, and nothing much has changed yet. Because I have no clue what's going to happen. It's still early, so I could eat my words, and tomorrow Twitter may ban art entirely and become some weird, like, text-based forum for dudes to debate about which of their NFTs is cooler and to which Tesla stocks to buy. I would hope not, but there's a possibility. My gentle advice, that you do not have to take at all, is to have a social media bug-out bag. For those uninformed, a bug-out bag is a duffel bag or backpack filled with necessities for survival: money, a change of clothes, shoes, some non-perishable food, so on. These are intended to be used in a state of emergency where you need to leave quickly and not carry much of a burden. You hope to not use them, but you need to make one with the intention of using it. So my advice is to diversify. If you use Twitter primarily for content creation, consider posting your work on Instagram, Facebook, DeviantArt, Tumblr, so on. I know that sounds like a lot, and it can be hard to create a new space, especially if you are still using the old one primarily. And I know that I'm very adverse to changes. I'm very adverse to using many social medias at once. But I have been posting on Instagram and DeviantArt for the past couple weeks now, regularly, just trying to put my work somewhere else in case all of a sudden I need to establish a harder presence on these websites. The point is to try to exist, even if it's just a little bit, on another platform. The idea here is that you have a backup plan, and even if you never plan on using it, at least it's there. If you are entirely morally, ethically against the person who is owning Twitter, if you were completely fed up with Musk's shit, obviously no one can and no one should stop you from taking action to protect yourself and your space. The important thing is not to make any decisions based on emotion alone, and try to make an effort to wait and see instead of assume the worst and just bug out when the emergency is not that dire yet. There have been talks about Musk possibly selling Twitter again or passing it off to someone else and having someone else run it. I honestly think that would probably be for the best. It seems like he is just way over his head. I don't think he has any clue what he's doing. Someone get this man's a manager. Someone get this dude a tweet editor. Like, he has the edit button. I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying that any of this is easy. Establishing a presence on another website is hard, and it sucks, and it's scary. But I think that might be the best course of action to kind of put your mind at ease and establish some sort of calm within the storm. You can get off Twitter a little bit and maybe post your art on DeviantArt or something like that. In conclusion, finally, thank you so much for watching this. I mean, my recording is 40 minutes long, so hopefully I can condense that to less than 30 minutes. Please. Basically, social media is wild and feral. Trends are ever evolving, and unfortunately, it's up to us to kind of try to shape them, and if we can't shape them, deal with the huge corporate entities making them up. I would like to thank you again for making it all the way to the end of this video. Like I said, I am on Instagram, I'm on DeviantArt, I'm on Twitter, of course. I'll have all of my socials linked in the description and listed on the end card. I would like to get back into live streaming again soon, so if you would like to see those, I do have a Twitch account. I was considering moving over to YouTube to live stream, but I'm not sure, as I do swear a lot, and I'm pretty sure my VODs would get muted as I am recording them. If you have any further thoughts or would like to respond to anything I've said in this video, please feel free to comment below. I know I didn't cover everything, but I tried to get a vast range and cover everything briefly. I did my best, and the whole point of this video is to have an open discussion. That's all from me. Have a lovely day and stay safe.